We created Jetson, this robotics computer. We're so proud of it. The amount of software that goes on top of it is insane. But the reason why we can do it at all is because it's 100% CUDA compatible. Everything that we do in our company is in service of our developers. And by us being able to maintain this rich ecosystem and make it compatible with everything that you access from us, we can bring all of that incredible capability to this little tiny computer we call Jetson, a robotics computer. We also today are announcing this incredibly advanced new SDK. We call it Isaac Perceptor. Most of the robots today are pre-programmed. They're either following rails on the ground, digital rails, or they'd be following APRO tags. But in the future, they're going to have perception. And the reason why you want that is so that you could easily program it. You say, would you like to go from point A to point B? And it will figure out a way to navigate its way there. So by only programming waypoints, the entire route could be adaptive. The entire environment could be reprogrammed, just as I showed you at the very beginning with the warehouse. You can't do that with pre-programmed AGVs. If those boxes fall down, they just all gum up and they just wait there for somebody to come clear it. And so now, with the Isaac Perceptor, we have incredible state-of-the-art vision odometry, 3D reconstruction, and in addition to 3D reconstruction, depth perception. The reason for that is so that you can have two modalities to keep an eye on what's happening in the world. Isaac Perceptor. The most used robot today is a manipulator, manufacturing arms, and they are also pre-programmed. The computer vision algorithms, the AI algorithms, the control and path planning algorithms that are geometry aware, incredibly computationally intensive. We have made these CUDA accelerated. So we have the world's first CUDA accelerated motion planner that is geometry aware. You put something in front of it, it comes up with a new plan and articulates around it. It has excellent perception for pose estimation of a 3D object. Not its pose in 2D, but its pose in 3D. So it has to imagine what's around and how best to grab it. So the foundation pose, the grip foundation, and the articulation algorithms are now available. We call it Isaac Manipulator. And they also just run on NVIDIA's computers. We are starting to do some really great work in the next generation of robotics. The next generation of robotics will likely be a humanoid robotics. We now have the necessary technology, and as I was describing earlier, the necessary technology to imagine generalized human robotics. In a way, human robotics is likely easier, and the reason for that is because we have a lot more imitation training data that we can provide the robots because we are constructed in a very similar way. It is very likely that the humanoid robotics will be much more useful in our world because we created the world to be something that we can interoperate in and work well in. And the way that we set up our workstations and manufacturing and logistics, they were designed for humans. They were designed for people. And so these humanoid robotics will likely be much more productive to deploy. While we're creating, just like we're doing with the others, the entire stack. Starting from the top, a foundation model that learns from watching video, examples. It could be in video form, it could be in virtual reality form. We then created a gym for it called Isaac Reinforcement Learning Gym, which allows the humanoid robot to learn how to adapt to the physical world. And then an incredible computer, the same computer that's going to go into a robotic car, this computer will run inside a humanoid robot called Thor. It's designed for transformer engines. We've combined several of these into one video. This is something that you're going to really love. Take a look.
It's not enough for humans to imagine. We have to invent and explore and push beyond what's been done.
A fair amount of detail.
We create smarter and faster. We push it to fail so it can learn. We teach it, then help it teach itself. We broaden its understanding to take on new challenges with absolute precision and succeed. We make it perceive and move and even reason so it can share our world with us. This is where inspiration leads us, the next frontier. This is NVIDIA Project Groot. A general-purpose foundation model for humanoid robot learning. The Groot model takes multimodal instructions and past interactions as input and produces the next action for the robot to execute. We developed Isaac Lab, a robot learning application to train Groot on Isaac Sim, and we scale out with Osmo, a new compute orchestration service that coordinates workflows across DGX systems for training and OVX systems for simulation. With these tools, we can train Groot in physically based simulation and transfer zero-shot to the real world. The Groot model will enable a robot to learn from a handful of human demonstrations so it can help with everyday tasks and emulate human movement just by observing us. This is made possible with Nvidia's technologies that can understand humans from videos, train models in simulation, and ultimately deploy them directly to physical robots. Connecting Groot to a large language model even allows it to generate motions by following natural language instructions.
Hi, GL1. Give me a high five.
Sure thing. Let's high five.
Can you give us some cool moves?
Sure. Check this out.
All this incredible intelligence is powered by the new Jetson Thor robotics chips, designed for Groot, built for the future. With Isaac Lab, Osmo, and Groot, we're providing the building blocks for the next generation of AI-powered robotics.
We're going to come right back to the presentation. A lot of you were asking about how does this affect Tesla. I will answer that question at the end of the presentation.
About the same size. The soul of Nvidia, the intersection of computer graphics, physics, artificial intelligence. It all came to bear at this moment. The name of that project, General Robotics Zero, I know, super good, super good. Well, I think we have some special guests, do we? Hey guys, so I understand you guys are powered by, they're powered by Jetsons, little Jetson robotics computers inside. They learn to walk in Isaac Sim. Ladies and gentlemen, this is orange, and this is the famous green. They are the BDX robots of Disney. Amazing Disney research. Come on, you guys, let's wrap up. Let's go. 5 things. Where are you going? I sit right here. Don't be afraid. Come here, Green. Hurry up. What are you saying? No, it's not time to eat. It's not time to eat. Be a snack in a moment. Let me finish up real quick. Come on, Green, hurry up. Stop wasting time. 5 things. 5 things. First, a new industrial revolution. Every data center should be accelerated. $1 trillion worth of installed data centers will become modernized over the next several years. Second, because of the computational capability we brought to bear, a new way of doing software has emerged, generative AI, which is going to create new infrastructure dedicated to doing one thing and one thing only. Not for multi-user data centers, but AI generators. These AI generation will create incredibly valuable software, a new industrial revolution. Second, the computer of this revolution, the computer of this generation, generative AI, trillion parameters, Blackwell, insane amounts of computers and computing. Third, I'm trying to concentrate. Good job. Third, new computer creates new types of software. New type of software should be distributed in a new way so that it can, on the one hand, be an endpoint in the cloud and easy to use, but still allow you to take it with you because it is your intelligence. Your intelligence should be packaged up in a way that allows you to take it with you. We call them NIMs. And third, these NIMs are going to help you create a new type of application for the future. Not one that you wrote completely from scratch, but you're going to integrate them like teams, create these applications. We have a fantastic capability between NIMs, the AI technology, the tools, NeMo, and the infrastructure DGX Cloud in our AI Foundry to help you create proprietary applications, proprietary chatbots. And then lastly, everything that moves in the future will be robotic. You're not going to be the only one. And these robotic systems, whether they are humanoid, AMRs, self-driving cars, forklifts, manipulating arms, they will all need one thing. Giant stadiums, warehouses, factories. There can be factories that are robotic, orchestrating factories, manufacturing lines that are robotics, building cars that are robotic. These systems all need one thing. They need a platform, a digital platform, a digital twin platform, and we call that Omniverse, the operating system of the robotics world. These are the 5 things that we talked about today. What does NVIDIA look like? What does NVIDIA look like? When we talk about GPUs, There's a very different image that I have when people ask me about GPUs. First, I see a bunch of software stacks and things like that. And second, I see this. This is what we announced to you today. This is Blackwell. This is the amazing, amazing processors, NVLink switches, networking systems, and the system design is a miracle. This is Blackwell. And this, to me, is what a GPU looks like in my mind.
A few hours ago, I was reading the comments under one of my videos, and I saw multiple people mentioning Nvidia out of nowhere. And I was thinking, what is going on? And then I look online and I see this speech from the CEO of Nvidia. So what does this mean for Tesla? Well, I think there's a lot of room for multiple companies to be widely successful when it comes to making humanoid robots and providing services that will be useful to humanoid robotic companies that are going to make these robots. However big you think the car industry is right now, I think the robotics industry, the humanoid robotics industry especially, is going to be much, much, much bigger than that. And the opportunities to start different businesses are going to be endless. You are probably going to be able to program different skills. And instead of making apps, you will be making skills for the robots. And I think a lot of money is going to be made there. But getting back to Tesla, how does this affect Tesla? The Tesla humanoid robot Optimus, I think there are many big differences between Tesla and Nvidia. First of all, Tesla is incredibly good at manufacturing already. If Nvidia wants to, let's say, later on get into the robotic space and actually manufacture the robots, that's going to be incredibly difficult. Nvidia doesn't exactly have that expertise for robotics specifically. But Tesla is building cars already, and Tesla is good at software, which is, that combination is just lethal. Usually you just have someone that's pretty good at manufacturing, or they are pretty good at software, but not both. That's very rare. And with Tesla, we have that combination. And Tesla's full self-driving efforts will make the robots work better. These two are very closely linked together. And I was reading some of the comments under the presentation, and one thing that stood out to me was, this is everything that Elon Musk announced basically 2 years ago. A lot of the comments were saying that, and yeah. There's definitely some truth in that. So as a Tesla stock investor, I'm not worried about what Nvidia is doing here. Now, speaking of full self-driving, well, the companies that use Nvidia to help solve full self-driving, specifically within all of the hardware inside the car, that is not perfectly designed for FSD, at least not as well as Tesla's chips are. Tesla's chips are specifically designed for the very specific use case that Tesla vehicles are in. And remember that Teslas use vision primarily to solve full self-driving. So that approach is different. It consumes a lot less energy, which also allows for relatively cheap scale and low energy consumption, which are two important things if you want to scale quickly and cheaply and make good earnings in the process for the company's bottom line. And for EVs, range is important, and having something that consumes a lot less energy is a significant bonus. So there's that. It's not the main thing that would make it better, but it is a plus, certainly. For the longest time, people were worried about Apple competing with Tesla, but now we have been learning that Apple, because it canceled its EV project and therefore I don't think it's going to ever pursue full self-driving, realistically speaking. And on top of that, Apple does not even have its own large language model. It's partnering up with Google and Google's large language model. I mean, is it really that good? So Apple is no longer a competitor, but Nvidia is serious. There are many good reasons to invest in Nvidia, and if you invested in Nvidia a year, 2 years ago, right now you are celebrating. But investing in Tesla, for me, it also comes with Elon Musk, and the CEO of Nvidia has been widely successful, but I wouldn't put him at the same level as Elon Musk. So for me, investing in Tesla, I have this huge insurance policy, Elon Musk being in charge of Tesla, and Elon Musk has proven over and over and over again that when there's a huge crisis situation, eventually he comes out on top. Not immediately. There's a lot of noise, a lot of pain, but eventually he comes out on top, and long-term investors benefit from that greatly. So I personally, I'm not investing in Nvidia. If I had to invest in another company that's not Tesla, I would pick X, and then I would pick SpaceX, because all these companies come with Elon Musk, and it has never been a great idea to bet against Elon Musk in the long term. So if I was able to make these investments, it would be more because I'm investing in Elon Musk and not as much me investing in X or SpaceX. And that's one reason why I am invested in Tesla, but that's not the only reason. But if I was to invest in X or SpaceX, especially X, pretty much the only reason why I would be investing is because of Elon Musk's track record. And Elon Musk bought X for $44 billion. So relatively speaking, he's starting from a low valuation. And I believe X eventually, over many, many years, is going to turn into a $1 trillion company. So that would be $44 billion to $1 trillion. That's over a 20x. But if I had to diversify, I would not be investing in Nvidia. I would be buying S&P 500 index funds. Now, I do hear some people say that they look at Nvidia and they look at its market cap and it's enormous. It's over $2 trillion. And they use that as an argument to not invest in the company because it's already so big and you can only get so much bigger compared to the biggest company in the world. But I think that's the wrong way to think. So I wouldn't use that argument to not invest in Nvidia, because when I invested in Tesla in early 2019, the market cap, relatively speaking, compared to other car manufacturers was already gigantic. And people were saying, how? There's no upside here because it's already as big as these huge automakers in terms of its market cap. There's no room for growth. And yet here we are, Tesla stock more than 10x. But a big shout out goes to Nvidia investors here today. The stock is up 80%. And in the last year, it's up 240%. Last 5 years, it's up almost close to 2,000%. That's incredible. However, my personal strategy is not to pick a lot of single stocks. I am an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. So I pick companies that I either want to personally be invested in, or I invest basically as an entrepreneur myself. And the way I invested in Tesla is as an investor too, yes, but I invested more through the lens of an entrepreneur. When one starts his own company, usually you put in most of your money, if not all of your money, in the company, and no one says, oh, you need to diversify or anything like that. So that was my philosophy largely when I put my whole stock portfolio into Tesla stock. I'm not saying I'm not going to do something like that again, but I'm a lot less likely to do it again now. I understand Tesla incredibly well. I know pretty much all there is to know about the company. There are many things that I wouldn't know about Nvidia, and I would need to spend a lot of time researching every little detail to know whether it might make sense to go all in into Nvidia, which just by default, I would pretty much say no to that. So I'm not going to spend months and months and months looking at the company. Warren Buffett has this saying, you don't need to invest in every single thing out there. You just need to know when a company comes along that has incredible potential, you have to know that it's the right company once you invest in it. And I believe Tesla is that company. But in investing, you can always say no. I'm saying no to Nvidia. Other people said yes, and they made good returns. And Tesla investors, if you have been an investor since 2019, you are incredibly happy right now. And speaking of returns, I am personally incredibly happy with S&P 500 returns. So that's about 10% a year. Anything over that, to me, is just unbelievably crazy good. And to me, as an entrepreneur, my reduction of risk comes from knowing exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing with Tesla stock and my businesses. The way I reduce the risk is by knowing more, not by diversifying my investments. If I ask you how much is 4 times 4, you wouldn't want to diversify your answers by saying, oh, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 17, and maybe it's 16. No, you would just, if you know, it's 16. There's no reason to diversify. You just know. But with investing, it's incredibly difficult to know, or in business, or in most things that really matter in life. But as an entrepreneur, that's my job. And as investors, it's our job to know which investment is the right investment. And I personally have no issues at all with diversification in stock portfolios. By the way, I have real estate, but in stock portfolio, the only stock that I have is Tesla stock. I certainly would not recommend that to almost anyone, really. I would say, if anyone by default asks me, by default, I just say, don't put more money in Tesla stock than what you are willing to lose. I am young. I have businesses with cash flow. So in the absolute worst case scenario, if something seriously happens to Elon Musk and Tesla, eventually I would be okay. I am from Europe, from one of the Baltic states, and I have a lot of friends and relatives or friends of my relatives who have been sent to Siberia. I would not be sent to Siberia if somehow something happened to Elon Musk or Tesla. So that's why I'm even in the worst case scenario, it's not that bad is what I'm saying. But the likelihood of success is so big, in my personal opinion, that it's worth to take that risk. It's not worth for everyone because it's very difficult to hold the stock if you are not calm about it. The downside of the volatility for some people is not going to exceed the upside that would be waiting for them. So that's why I tell people, don't invest more than what you're willing to lose, because in that case, if the stock drops that day or the next day or in the month or this year or the next year or doesn't do much for the next few years, you're not really worried. You're not really sweating about it. Anyway, that's it for this video. My name is Matt Post. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.